Hey guys, it's Lindsay from Perfectly Bookish 5. Come to Book Bonanza with me. Book Bonanza is over. I am home, and what a magical last Book Bonanza it was. So many fun, amazing things happened, and I got to share it all with my mom. My mom came with me this year. Start from the beginning. I will have pictures and videos. At the end of the video, I'm going to talk first, and then all that fun stuff I will show you. I drove this time, and I have never done that before, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a little scary. I'm not a driver. I always say if I were to win the lottery, I would splurge on a chauffeur. Me driving was a big deal. I live in Wisconsin, and it was about a 15-hour drive, but luckily my dad and we went over things on a map, and we found a straight shot. Basically a straight shot there, and it worked beautifully. There was just like 2 places where we hit major cities where it got a little crazy, but otherwise hardly any traffic, and it was beautiful. So that was nice. I drove 11 hours the first day. We left at 4 in the morning. I think I was just on an adrenaline high. I was so excited to go, and my mom's like, we can do it. Let's keep going. And I all the way down, I drove. It was just me. And mom offered sometimes, but ultimately I just drove down there. And then we had about 4 hours to go the next day. We left, I think, 7:30 the second day. We got to the hotel around 12:30. I knew it was going to be a long shot if there was a room ready, because like check-in wasn't officially until 3. The event was at the Gaylord Texan. It's a beautiful hotel. And sure enough, when we got there, a room wasn't ready, but I gave them my phone number and they said they would text when a room was. So I went to go park my car in the parking garage, and guys, like my luck, I got the very first spot in the parking garage. I don't know how it happened. I'm like, we're not moving. I didn't have to drive around the parking garage, so that was awesome. And then, since it was lunchtime, we went to go eat in one of the restaurants in the hotel. There's, I want to say 4 maybe restaurants. One of them was under construction. It wasn't open. But we went to the Riverwalk Cantina. And this was my 3rd time at the Gaylord Texan. And I've never eaten in the hotel before. We've always gotten food outside of the hotel. So being the last time I may ever be at this hotel, I want to try everything. So we went to the Riverwalk Cantina, and both mom and I, we got the same thing. We got some chicken enchiladas that came with beans and rice, and the beans and rice, that was really, really good. And then when we were done eating and we left the restaurant, like 5 minutes after getting up and leaving, we got a text that the room was ready. So it just worked out perfectly, and we went to go get our stuff, and it was cool. At registration, not only did you get your typical like credit card-esque room key, you also got it looked like a watch. It said Coho on it, and you could just hold up your hand and scan the chip that was in your watch, which was great because when your hands are full when you're coming back from signings, instead of looking in your purse pocket for the card, you just went boop and it opened. So that was great. And I couldn't believe the room that we got. We had a balcony. This is the first time ever staying at this hotel. My third time's the charm that we got a balcony, and we were right next to where we had to head to the convention hall. We went down, we were on the 6th floor, you go down the elevator, and then boom, like you're walking into the convention hall. So that was awesome. Last year we were like the second to last hotel room on the completely opposite end. So I kept explaining to my mom, like, you don't know how awesome this is. Well, before we ate, I actually went to show her where the event was going to take place and gave her the whole tour. So that was fun to do. I'm like, remember this spot, Mom, and where we're going, because that's how far we were. So then we got all of our stuff. We got things set up in the room, and 3 o'clock registration started. And originally, I wasn't planning on driving all those hours, and I was okay if we were going to get to registration late, because the line is always long, and if you're a little later, there's not as long as the line. But nope, we were there right away. There's a big line. You'll see a picture of that. Not a picture, a video of that. And this year, if you watch my Pack With Me for Book Bonanza video, they do things a little differently with lining up, and I personally loved it. The only thing is, the people you come with, you don't get to line up for the signing with them unless you just want to disregard the numbers that they give you. But this year they had letters, was it A through H, and you lined up at certain doors. So once the signing started, you went in through those doors in your number order line. And I love that because I had time for lunch then. I could eat in my room. I didn't have to rush and eat on the floor while in line. You could walk up to the line like 10 minutes before the doors were going to open, find your spot, and you were good to go. So Book Bonanza, even though this was your last go, I hope other signings take this into consideration because it was just so fair. And yeah, it was great. And yes, once you see my number, you might think I am saying it's great because of that, but my mom was at door D, like 50 something the first day and 100 something the second day, and she really likes the line process as well. I heard from a lot of attendees they liked the randomness of it. It went so smooth and we all got in so quickly. When I got my badge, I couldn't believe it. This was just such a lucky trip for me. Sorry, my cats are running around like crazy, but here are my numbers. E1 and then E170. Each line had a little over 200 in it. So E1, guys, the first one in the room, and then 170 the second day. I'll get to that in a little bit, but things were just working out amazing. The swag bags were amazing. There will be a picture of everything that was in it. Just a great bag. I really love, there is a water bottle, the Stanley dupe, whatever you call it, but I love it. And it's going to be put to use quite a bit. So that night there was a meet and greet. I have never attended one of the meet and greets there before because it was kind of like just meet in the bar area, talk to the authors and all this stuff. But this year it was actually in a space, designated space. There were lots of tables, round tables that seated about 8 with authors' names on it. And my mom and I went to go see Abby Glines, and then we just walked around a little bit. And Abby was so super nice. She gave out free books to those who were at the meet and greet, and she was fun to talk to. We got a picture, and then we went back to the room, organized my book cart, mom's book cart, and I was trying to prep her for the craziness of the signing the next day. And then I went to go take a shower. When I came out of the shower, my mom said we got a text. Now, there was an app this year, a Book Bonanza app, and anytime there were updates, you would get a message. So that's what I mean by we got a text. So I was like, oh, Lindsay, we got a text about opening ceremony when I came out of the shower. And like, that's all she said. I'm like, oh, okay, what about my business? And a little later, I checked the message. I'm like, Mom, why didn't you like say what the message really said? It said something like, there's going to be a Lively, and Lively was in quotes, guest at tomorrow's opening ceremony. And if you could guess, Lively, Blake Lively. And my plan wasn't to wake up early. I just kind of like sleep in a little bit, stroll in the opening ceremony when we did. But now I'm like, Mom, change of plans, we're waking up early. We were about 10 people back in line for our door. And yes, guys, Blake Lively was at the opening ceremony. Just couldn't believe it. Like, I joked, what if she's there with it being the last Book Bonanza and stuff. I joked about it with my friends, but I didn't think she would actually be there. And I'm not really going to say a lot about Blake Lively and it ends with us in this video. I'm going to save it for a separate video because I got a lot of different video clips I want to show everyone, but it will make this way too long. So there will be a video coming with everything of It Ends With Us. Opening ceremony was epic. Then we went to, what was it, Romance at Any Age, and then we went to The Spice Is Right. And some of the topics that they talked about in The Spice Is Right was a little awkward sitting next to my mom listening to, but I mean, it's fun. It was funny. But then we went to go get our lunch and we ate it back in our room. Lunch is provided for you. This year it was hosted by the Wild and Windy crew, and it was cute because we got little pink flamingo like duckies. And then at 1:30, the signing started at 2, we headed down to go line up. I went in my spot and Mom went in hers, and I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous for my mom. I had everything prepared for her with the maps of where authors were, and my plan was I wanted to go to Catherine Cowles and Elsie Silver. They were right next to each other. And then I was sending my mom to Elle Kennedy. I have met Elle before. I wanted to meet her again, but I know her line was going to be crazy, so that's where I sent Mom first. And I prepared her the best I could and, you know, wished her best. I got to my door, E1, first person in line, couldn't believe it. The only bad thing, there was this guy. He was very nice, a volunteer, and he was fun and everything, but when it came time for the doors to open, they let in F1, which was next to us, and then D1 started to move, and they had these bands that roped off the area, and the volunteers were just breaking them so your line could go through. No one was breaking mine. And I kept telling the guy, I'm like holding up my badge, I'm E1, and everyone behind me is yelling too, why are we not moving? And he just started yelling at me, no, F has to wait. I'm like, I'm not F, I am E1. So I broke it. There was a different volunteer right there, and I showed her, and she's like, yeah, you could go. He's like, no, she's wrong, you can't. I'm like, no, I'm E1, I'm going. So I don't know why, like, it clearly said on my badge, I wasn't lying. Everyone behind me had clear proof on their badge too. So I got in a couple minutes, well, not a couple minutes, probably 1, 2, that is a couple. I don't know, but I was a little later in getting in than all the other E1, so the E1 didn't really have the total advantage for me because that volunteer just, I don't know, he's like, well, E shouldn't be there, but it's clearly marked E, so that was the snafu of the signing. So if that's the worst that happened, you know, we're good. So I got in, I got to Catherine Cowles, and I was so excited to meet her. I was about 5th in line, which wasn't bad, but Elsie Silver next to her, it was like a mob in that area. And this year they were not handing out wristbands for authors until everyone got in the signing room, or it was at the volunteer's discretion. And I got a free book for being one of the first people in Catherine's line. She was so sweet. I was so happy to meet her. I wanted to meet her last year, and I just couldn't get in her line. It got cut off before it got to my number. So I was so excited that I got to meet her this year. And too, as time is ticking by, I'm worried about my mom. Like, I hope she's doing okay where she is, that she's not too overwhelmed, because you can talk about a signing and tell someone how it is, but until you are in that room, like the magnitude of people that are there, you just don't totally get it until you are experiencing it yourself. And my mom, like, she didn't use the word, she wasn't overwhelmed, but she was just kind of wowed, amazed at everything that was going on in there. So I got my book signed by Catherine. Then I did grab a wristband for Elsie. They were handing them out. I got one of the last ones. I couldn't believe it. I was 60 something. No, that was Jamin. I was 90 something for Elsie. They didn't hand out that many. And I mean, they could have got more wristbands, but that's all they had at the time. And I was just so thankful that I'm like, they're right next to each other. How could I not get one? But I was one of the last ones to get one, which was amazing. Then I went around, got some other wristbands, met some other authors, and then I went to J.S. Scott, and that is where I met up with my mom. That was our planned meeting spot, and it worked out very nicely. J.S. Scott, super generous. You could choose from a picnic, like cooler bag with goodies inside, or a gym bag. Mom got the picnic bag, I got the gym bag, and she had a free book for everyone. And within the book, like, her assistant handed her the book, she opened it up, and she would sign it. But within some of the books, there was a card that said, like, winner for something else. And when I got up to her, I won an Amazon gift card. So like I said, I was just so lucky this trip, and it was awesome. Then we went through the signing. Mom and I stuck together the rest of the time. The signing was 2 to 6. And it was a lot of fun. I got to a lot of authors. And after the signing, which like I said, you'll see pictures in here, we had a reservation. I made it about 3 weeks in advance because I know the resort is huge and stuff fills up really quick. I made a reservation at the restaurant Zapole, whatever it's called, like an Italian and seafood and all this stuff, and the reservation was at 6:30. So we left the signing, put the stuff back in our room, then we went to go eat, and oh my gosh, the food at this place, amazing. We got a margarita pizza and these smashed potatoes. Guys, the potatoes, I want to recreate them so bad. The pizza was so good, the crust, and when you sat down, how like sometimes if you go to a Mexican restaurant, you get chips and salsa to eat before your food gets there, stuff like that. They had these rolls that were stuffed, and I don't know if it was cream cheese or whatever it was inside. My mom didn't care for it. I loved it. It was so warm. It was delicious, and yeah, the food, like Mom loved the potatoes and the pizza, but it was amazing. And it was funny because like every person at the restaurant had a job. One person would seat you, one would only fill water, one would take your order, one would bring the food, and like it was just a certain person had a job for each table. But looking around at everyone's plates, like everything looked so good, and I'm really glad we decided to make a reservation there and eat. It's the only one you could make a reservation at online, so that is why too we ultimately picked that one, because other ones you couldn't make a reservation online. Then that night they were having a party, Family Feud. There were some nachos you could have if you wanted. There was a bar, and we watched some authors play Family Feud. I believe I have a clip to show you. And then we went back to the room. We didn't stay for the whole entirety of the party. We just watched the Family Feud games. Then the next day we decided not to go to the panels. I have seen so many panels over the years, and for me, like, my honest opinion is they get really repetitive. Yes, it's different authors on the panels each time, but they're ultimately saying the same things if it's sports, romance, small town, and my mom didn't care about the panels either way. Like, she saw them the day before and she was fine with missing them, and then we used that time to get some things together and take a load out to the car, because at the opening panel ceremony we were surprised with being told we were going to see an early screening of It Ends With Us, and we knew it was going to be a late night. The first movie wasn't even going to be shown until 10, so we figured we weren't going to get back until 1 in the morning, and this was Saturday, and leaving on Sunday, we didn't want to be packing stuff up, coming back from the movie that late, or having to wake up earlier that morning. So we got organized, and I was so thankful for that time to get organized and taking some stuff to the car. It helped out greatly. And then lunch actually, like, said it started at 12:15, but we were able to get our lunch at 11:30. So again, it was a very smooth transition, lunch in the room, and then going to line up in our spots. It took only like 5 minutes to get in. I was, again, E170. Granted, not everyone shows up for the second day of the signing because they get a big bulk of who they want the first day. So there may not have been as many people, but still, it was a very smooth process of getting in. Mom had a plan, I had a plan, and she was like, you know, give me your list. I can go around. I know the floor now. I know what I'm doing. Well, kind of know what I'm doing. And I'm like, are you sure you don't want to walk around together? And she's like, no, I can do this. Mom was having a really fun time doing everything, and so I gave her my anthologies to go around to meet those authors. And there were 3 authors that she for sure wanted to meet. It was Colleen Hoover, E.L. James, and Willow Winters. The wristbands we got for Colleen were, I think she was 44 and I was 45. And I was not able to meet Colleen. I don't know how my mom got in. I kept getting turned away. And they let my mom in. So I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I have met Colleen before, so I wasn't so sad. I was still sad because it was the last one and I wanted to get in her line. But good for you, Mom. You got in and you were able to meet her. She was on your list. I was also not able to meet Elle Kennedy. They never got to my number. I was 200 something. High 200s. I don't even know if they hit the 200 mark for her. But my mom got in. Elle had a signing limit of 5. So I brought a total of 4 books. My mom got 2 books signed. She got 2 book plates, and then she got her autograph book signed. It was really cool this year. Every swag bag had an autograph book in it, and it had every author in it. So that was cool, a fun memento, and my mom enjoyed getting that book signed, trying to get as many authors as she could. And yeah, I went around to my authors. That day I went first. I tried to get Jamin Eve because I really wanted to meet her, but I couldn't get to her the first day. I had like 60 something, and she only got through like barely 100. Sorry, my cat's knocking stuff down. The first day, and I asked a volunteer in the line, I'm like, oh, were you with her yesterday? I'm just curious, is her line just really slow? And she's like, yeah, she signed slow, but then after getting this information, I went to someone else and I circled back around, but I think her volunteers must have had a talk with her because she was a lot faster. I was happy for that. A book of hers, it was 3 in 1. Oh my gosh. Can I see it from up here? The Titans. Yeah, the Titans Saga, and the book is gorgeous. Ruby Dixon, I bought this Book Bonanza edition of Fire Blood. There's dragons in it. Can't think of the name. I bought The Forbidden King from Laura Pavlov. I've read the first 2 of the Magnolia Falls series, just haven't read Forbidden King yet, so I thought I'd buy the book there. I bought, The Pact from Karina Holly. Sorry, I always say that wrong. And it was a special Book Bonanza edition. It says on the inside, like, the last Book Bonanza, she put a little frowny face there. So it was sad. And I bought something else. Oh, the end of that day. So Emma Jones was supposed to be there, but she had a family emergency and she couldn't. Megan Brandy was there. And they were both at Wild and Windy. I met both of them there. And I regretted not getting a special edition. Fate of a Royal, Fate of a Fox. They had the 2 combined in an edition. Very beautiful edition. Ultimately did not get it. And I regretted it. So I went by Megan Brandy's table. They had a whole bunch of these books, and I can't remember the name of Megan Brandy's special edition, what the book was, but she had a special edition of one of her books, and I regret not getting it as well. So I asked, I figured those were all pre-orders. I'm like, are those pre-orders or are those for sale? And they're like, no, sorry, these are pre-orders, but if they're not picked up by 5:30, then we are going to start to sell them. So around 5:30, it was probably like 10 minutes before 5:30, I went back to Megan Brandy's line. There was already a line formed. Other people were hoping as well these pre-orders wouldn't get picked up. And so I hopped in line, and I am always amazed at all the posts I see about people not picking up their pre-orders because you're paying for these books ahead of time. And like when I pre-order something, I write it down in a million places on who my pre-orders are for. I have pictures of it in a special album in my phone. And guys, there's like at least 20 of each special edition copy. I was able to get one, so I'm sorry for the people who forgot to pick up their pre-orders, but I was really happy to be able to buy the books. So I did buy a little more than I would usually, but the mindset, the last Book Bonanza, that's the mindset I was in. Grandma gave me some money to spend there as well, which I was really excited about. And after, before I say that, after the signing, Mom did get to meet E.L. James and Willow Winters, and my mom, we went to Amy Dawes, and I saw Amy first. Mom was at someone else, and then she joined me. She was a couple people behind me, and we didn't have any books for Amy to sign. My books I have of hers are signed at home, but we just went, got our autograph book signed, and Mom was taking a little longer. I look over, and Amy's signing a book. I'm like, where did Mom buy a book? And it was so nice. Amy was telling my mom that there's a reader who goes to different signings, and if Amy is there, she donates like 4 books worth of money that Amy could randomly give out 4 books to 4 random people. And this is, I don't know, 5:45. It's at the end of the signing, and she really liked my mom, whatever the conversation they were having, because she gave my mom one of those books. And I'm just like, what, Mom? That's so awesome. She got a free signed book from Amy. So Amy, that was really special for my mom, and she's excited to read it. We had a quick dinner in the hotel room. We had to eat, get stuff put away, and get ready for the movie. And guys, when I talk about the movie, it was great. Like, when we got back, I cried. I'm like, Book Bonanza is over. We went out with a bang. It was such a magical adventure experience this year, and it was great. But I will, like I said, talk more about that in its own video. Then the next morning, we slept in. We were basically packed, ready to go. We left at either about 10 or 10:30, and we started the journey home. So yes, Book Bonanza, it was great. Thank you, Colleen, Susan, everyone on the team for just making this last Book Bonanza one for the books. I'm sad it's over. Maybe one day in the future it will happen again. If you went, let me know down below some of the authors you were excited to see, how your experience was. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you probably in my It Ends With Us video. Bye, everybody.